What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode today, I want to talk to you about a topic that I have recently kind of changed my mind or my opinion on due to more research that I've done. And that topic is buying land in cash versus borrowing the money to buy it. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. All right. So, as you can see, I am in my room at work. There are covers on the bunk bed mattresses on top because I guess they just don't want anybody sleeping in them. Let's talk about money. I am kind of changing my idea on money. I have always said that when I go to buy something, for example, a piece of land, I want to pay for it with my cash so that I am not a slave to the bank. What I'm trying to say today is that people who borrow money to buy land are not always slaves to the bank, as I previously thought. I was recently reading an article on agriculture.com.
Is this a gas vehicle? No. Don't you know that polar bears are dying?
Didn't you get here in a gas vehicle?
Yeah, but my mom dropped me off, and so technically it was a carpool. That's way better for the environment.
It's called 6 Tips to Significantly Up Your Odds in the Cattle Business, and it's written by Gene Johnston. And one of the 6 points that I'm talking about is getting your lender on your board. Now, what do I mean by board? So in every company, there is a board of directors, and these people come from various walks of life, and they are all invested in the company. They want the best thing for the company. So often I see in agriculture, just in life in general with smaller time business operations, I see them not have a group of people that helps to make decisions. For example, you own a piece of property and you don't consult your husband or your wife before you make a significant investment into that property. Something that is requiring capital, and if you do it, might set you back or push you forward a few years. Who knows? And you're not including your significant other. That significant other should be on, so to speak, your board of directors. What this guy, Gene Johnston, was saying in his article is that your money lender should be on your board of directors. If you borrow money to buy land and do agriculture, then you need to have the person that you borrowed money from invested into your land. They need to know what decisions you are making and why. The person you borrowed money from needs to know what decisions you're making on your land and why, because if something goes wrong and you can't make the monthly payment, or something is just not working out with your operation, and all of a sudden your lender gets worried and they say, "Hey Brevin, Mr. Ingleson, what are you doing on your land?" And I say, "Well, actually that's none of your business. This is my land." The lender's gonna say, "Well, you hold up, Mr. Ingleson. I loaned you the money. I have a right to know what is going on." All of this can be avoided if you keep your lender in the loop. If I talk to my money lender and I tell him, "All right, so I'm going to invest $10,000 into good fencing in order to keep cattle, which are assets, on my property. And I'm going to take another $20,000 and I'm going to build some corrals. Then I'm going to take $50,000 and I'm going to build a really big barn for hay and for keeping animals warm in the winter." He's going to say, or she is going to say, "Sounds great. Those are great business ideas. That's what your business needs."
Are you ready, Jim?
I'm ready.
Want to make sure you're ready, brother. Here it is. Show me the money.
Let's take the opposite approach. I go to my lender on Monday morning and I say, hey, I just spent $80,000. And they're going to look at you and go, wait, what?
Where's the money, Lebowski?
And you're going to have to explain after the fact what you did. Obviously, they've already lent you the money.
My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle, for sure. It makes me wanna dribble dribble. You know, riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it.
And you can do whatever you want with it, and you don't have to tell them what exactly you're doing. But now let's throw this into another scenario. It is 2008.
Talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate. We're red everywhere, essentially, down by 4-5%.
We're down over 16%. Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%.
The stock market is now down 21%.
Because we're now down 43%.
You miss one payment to the bank because all your calves died or something crazy, which could happen. I mean, you need a plan for the worst. You miss a payment to the bank. The bank looks at you and says, well, you haven't kept us in the loop. We don't actually know what's going on with your property, and we don't actually trust you. We don't trust the things that you're doing because we don't know what they are. And so your leash is going to be significantly smaller or shorter than the person who has kept his banker, his lender, in the loop all through the duration of his operations life. This is basically a life metaphor too. If you don't keep your spouse in the loop, put them on the board of directors and let them make decisions or help you make decisions, if you're not willing to give that up, then they're going to question everything that you do if it goes wrong. If it goes right, they'll think you're a genius. If it goes wrong, it's all your fault, not theirs. If your lender's on the board of directors helping make decisions, then if something goes wrong, the lender is also on the hook because they are the ones that help you make the decisions. To get to the point of it, borrowing money might not be the worst idea.
If I borrow money, guess what? Do I pay taxes on debt?
I guess no.
Why's that? So when they lend out money, that's how money is created. Money is debt. Why is debt tax-free?
I don't know.
Because that's how money is created. And so the banks love it. They love people who borrow lots of money. So how do I get rich? I borrow money and I buy assets with it. The poor person borrows money and buys liabilities like purses, cars, houses, and they get poorer and poorer and poorer.
A limited liability company allows you to build a company in which you are not responsible if something goes wrong. So let me explain what this means. And I got notes. If you borrow money from someone, you are in debt to that person or corporation or bank. That's a fact. However, there are various things you can do to separate yourself from your business and therefore protect your assets, aka a limited liability company. Pros and cons. Let me talk to you about pros and cons. So the pros of a limited liability company is limited liability. You, as a person, are not responsible for what happens that's wrong or good. You can have membership, aka your lender, your wife, your kids can be a member in the company. Taxes are paid at the individual level, so any taxes that the LLC produces, you will be paying that personally, so that simplifies things for you. And the heart of the matter is that with an LLC, you can borrow money from the bank under the name of the LLC, and you are not held responsible if your LLC goes bankrupt, which means the bank cannot come after your personal assets if you do not pay them back. So let's give it an example. I am John Smith, and I form an LLC called John Smith LLC. Basically, I go to the bank and I say I need $100,000 to fund my cattle operation under John Smith LLC. Bank gives you the money, John Smith, and you say, great, sounds good. 5 years later, all of your cows die and you can no longer pay back the bank. They are going to come after your LLC, not you. They will take all the money that the LLC has and they'll take it back to the bank. And what can they do to you? Absolutely nothing. You could have millions of dollars that you could pay them back with, but you technically don't have to because you did it as an LLC, not as a personal loan. If you get a personal loan, then you are on the hook if something bad happens. Now, for those of you that still abide by the Code of the West, you're going to say that this is wrong. If you borrow money from somebody, you need to pay them back. And I would agree with you. I think that is exactly what you should do. All I'm saying is that with an LLC, let's say everything goes wrong and you lose all of your personal assets. The bank cannot come after whatever you have left. Let's say you're completely wiped out. They can't come and take your last, your last car that you need to get to work. They can't come and take that from you because your LLC failed. It is more like insurance in case something goes wrong. And that's why I'm kind of changing my mind on borrowing money, because I can borrow $100,000 from the bank under an LLC and not be putting my personal assets at risk. Of course, if my LLC went under, I would feel obligated, and I am an honorable man, so I would pay them back. I do abide by that old-fashioned code of paying what you have been given. That's why I've changed my idea on borrowing money to get land. I would borrow money from a bank under an LLC to get my land. As long as I can make the accounting flow and be able to make my payments and make money, I would 100% do that. So, thank you for watching. Adios.